this.
This is what I did last week.
He might be able to get on where he's at.
Yeah.
Just take a picture and send it.
Good evening and welcome. I will call to order the Yakima City Council July 8th, 2025 study session. Individuals who wish to provide comment remotely may submit a public comment request from online at www.yakima.gov/council/public-comment no later than 2 hours prior to the start of the meeting. If you wish to provide public comment in person, fill out the request form in the lobby, turn it in to the city clerk. And also a reminder, it's not on this agenda, but a reminder that no electioneering is allowed, even in public speaking during the election period. So no pro or con particular issues or persons. Is that fair enough? Okay, thank you. Didn't have the script in front of me, I apologize for that. Please apologize for our delay in starting. We've had technical difficulties with almost every council person trying to get on tonight. So I'm just doing mine from paper. I couldn't get on. All right. We will start with a roll call, please.
Berg,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Byers,
Present.
Decio,
Here.
Glenn,
I'm here, but we got to turn the sound up or I'm not going to stick around because I'm hardly hearing anything.
Can you help him on that end, Mike?
Yes.
Yes, he can. He's going to help you, Rick.
Herrera,
Thank you.
Here.
Roy,
Here.
All right, thank you. Actually, I just found what I was supposed to read. State law prohibits any electioneering during public comment. Okay, we'll leave it at that. We have 15 minutes for public comment this evening, and we will start with, each person will have 2.5 minutes. When you come to the podium, please give us your name and the city in which you live, or if you live in the city or not. The first is Linda Lockwood.
Yakima City Council. My name is Linda Lockwood, President of the Yakima Valley Senior Citizens Incorporated, and I am a concerned resident of Yakima. I stand before you today to advocate for the continued support of 3 cornerstones of our community: the Harmon Center, our fire department, and our police department. These are not just line items in a budget. They are vital arteries that pump life, safety, and well-being into the heart of Yakima. Council members, I urge you to recognize the profound and interconnected value of these essential services. They represent our commitment for our vulnerable, protecting our property, and ensuring the peace and security of our daily lives. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Lockwood. You said?
I got you. Yep.
Next is Luis Lopez.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council and staff. My name is Luis Lopez, and I'm a resident of Yakima. And I'm just going to read it because I think that'll be better. It is not possible to please everybody. All of us have different ideas on how to address our 9 million shortfall. However, one thing is clear, and that is that all of us will feel the repercussions of the decisions that are being made. And as you continue to look at the different options, I would like to ask you to implement the sales tax increase as soon as is feasible. We know certain things about this sales tax. First of all, is that the council has the power, for lack of a better term, to enact this sales tax. The other thing that we know is that this tax is going to be, all of us are going to participate in paying this increased revenue. You know, it's not targeted to any specific area, to any specific people. Even people that would come, they would have to pay the increased sales tax. Also, we know that this revenue, if the council makes a decision to do this as soon as feasible, we know that this revenue, we will see it coming into our coffers probably in March, at the end of the first quarter of 2026. Regardless of to know what happens to the levy. And so I think that's very, very important. And also, the other thing that we know is that these sales tax. We have heard that sales tax has been going down, and we cannot make decisions on things that we do not know, but we can make decisions on the things that we know, and we know that regardless of what happens to the levy or levies, the sales tax is money in our pockets. Whatever much it is or little it is, it's better than nothing, and all of us will be sharing in trying to help our city to bridge the gap of this shortfall. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Next is Vicki Rogers.
Good evening, city officials, fellow citizens, and everybody watching at home from Washington Fruit Community Center. I'm Vicki Rogers, and I've lived in Yakima for over 30 years. I have been going to senior exercise at Washington Fruit Community Center as I recover from surgery at age 69. It is helping me get my groove back as I make friends and have some fun. Meals on Wheels serves lunch afterwards, and there are special events to enjoy. I've been hearing rumblings of a Harmon Center closure, and more recently, a closure of WFCC. Can this be true? I would be heartbroken to lose this treasured community resource. It provides needed connection, a focal point, something to look forward to. Not to mention the benefits of improved tone, fitness, balance, and nutrition. Even if I could afford membership to a club, it couldn't be better suited to my personal needs than our WFCC. I understand that the city is facing a budget shortfall and is looking at ways to save. But I wanted you to know that these community centers with dining rooms are worth their weight in quality of life for us seniors. Sure, there are expenses, but with nothing extravagant going on, $1 goes a long way. The value to our city is immeasurable. And reading between the lines on that line, a senior who is a little bit toned and has good balance, we're the ones who are out there sweeping up the broken glass in the intersection. We're the ones out there with the can of goof off, taking the tag off of the stop sign. So it goes way deeper than just a bunch of seniors, getting their kicks. Please do what you can to keep these services available to those who rely on them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Next is Tony Sandoval.
Tony Sandoval, still live in the city of Yakima. First of all, I'd like to take my hat off to the city heads that presented. They really defended their department. This is a hard thing that you guys have to make. That the rest of us will it'll affect us. So I'm gonna start by saying that the Harmon Center actually kind of gave idea of what they would want to do to save the Harmon Center, but I didn't see it on the presentation. My next point would be lease the Southeast Community Center for $100 to the city of Yakima. That way we don't have to maintain it, and they could help us out as a nonprofit. The things that myself and my nerdy friends came up with the rest of this stuff. The stuff that I wouldn't want to see cut off or reduce would be the economic development staff. I would want that to happen along with the rest of my nerdy friends. Eliminating the legal department front desk staff. It sounds like Sarah's going to need them. They probably are doing more than most attorneys' offices do. Reducing funding for the YPD traffic units. There's crazy drivers out there. Someone's going to get killed or going to continue to get hurt. Eliminating code enforcement officers, and that's on the no to cut. Eliminate YPD crime analysis. You might as well tie a hand behind the police officers. You need that. eliminating the YPD property crime units, eliminate the YPD gang units, eliminate the YPD narcotics units, and that's all there are no. Going to the, if you have to, and some of them I'm not gonna, we didn't touch. So on the cut would be eliminate the lobbying and council travel, eliminate funding for the fireworks, reduce Windows Live funding, eliminate flowers downtown, eliminate trolley maintenance, streamline civil services, eliminate alley maintenance, reduce funding for the YCDA, eliminate crime-free rental housing, and reduce YPD and fire department training budget, cut the graffiti in half, revisit Union Gap. That really caught me. Like, are we losing money there? Can we make money there? Union Gap is doing a lot better than we are. And then the other one is reduce financial service department. So after doing that, it looked like you're going to have to do a parks levy, but
Mr. Sandoval?
I'm done.
Your time is up,
Thank
but
you.
thank you very much. Who's this? Zach. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to apologize, Zach, because I know I'm going to destroy your name. Next is Zach Stromberg. Stanbaugh, thank you very much. I'm sorry.
All right. I will say a thing that is usually untrue when lawyers say it, which is I will be brief.
Oh, you have 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, I think most of the people will be saying over and over the same things, but at a fundamental level, there's a lot of good things that we don't have the money for. And most of the people here, made a commitment to not raise taxes to pay for them. I think we can answer most of that with a hiring freeze, from what I understand of the current budget. The remainders are probably going to be a matter of spooling off things that the city is funding into their own individualized nonprofits, and if people really value them, they will fund them. I think that's really the hard choice that you were elected to do. That is always the issue with city council or county commissioners is everybody's thing is good, everybody wants to fund it, nobody wants to say no, and at the end of the day, who it really hurts is people working minimum wage especially. And it does no good to say, well, it's their landlord paying it, because that goes into the rent. And Yakima is really high on that right now. It's not a kindness to the poor people to say, hey, you can go swim in the pool, but you can't afford your rent this month, you know. So that's really where I would leave it, is we have a simple mechanism. Hiring freeze, see what bleeds the most, suck it up. Union Gap has been running on a skeleton crew for a really long time. I know they are understaffed in their police department pretty severely. And according to somebody who wants to fund everything, they're the model. So that would be what I would leave for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Stumble. Next is Kenton Gartrell.
Ken Gartrell. I still own property in the city of Yakima, and I'm now living in the county. The community cannot afford a property tax. Across the board, leases have gone up by 20%, 10% if it was after the enactment of a law. Over 50% of your population rents, so they've already seen those increases. Their insurance went up. Most insurance went up by at least $200 on either your mortgage or your car. Utilities, depending on what region you are in, went up anywhere between 38% to 58%. If you're in the city of Sunnyside, it was 58%. People cannot, this is not just a Starbucks, this is not just a dollar, this is somebody's paycheck they're barely already making. A 2-bedroom house, 1 bathroom accounts for about $19.50 a month in this market, in our current market in the city of Yakima. You can't keep taxing the poor to solve your budgetary problems, because the poor is already poor. and they're already below the 60,000 mark by the state standards, which your medium is. 28% of your population is on food stamps. They just can't afford another dollar. They can't even afford a Starbucks. So, and I feel that comment was very inconsiderate and unrealistic that was made last week. The other thing is I helped most of your campaigns. I'm proud of some of you. However, as a Republican, every one of you ran a campaign against your Democrat opponents promising to be fiscally responsible, fiscally conservative, and you said no new taxes. The last Republican that said, read my lips, no new taxes, didn't get a second term. That was George Bush in 1990. So we don't want to go down that road. We're going to have to, you're asking the citizens to tighten their belt? Well, they already got taxed by Olympia. It's time we sit down, quit kicking the can down the road. Police can be fixed by a sales tax. However, all the other departments need to go through cutting. They need to go through an immediate job freeze. All of these things can be solved internally, but we can't keep kicking the can down the road, especially when one department has an entire staff base that's literally making $130,000 or more. They could take a 10% pay cut because the citizens can't even take a 1% increase because they can't even afford their rent. They're all living on South Nat Cheese Ave over here. They're all now living on Summit View Parkway, as some of you will notice. Thank you.
Your time is up. Thank you very much. Next is Autumn Torres.
All right. Autumn Torres, Yakima County resident. The problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money. Margaret Thatcher. I'm a business owner, mother of 5, and grandparent of 7, and soon to be 9. I'm invested in Yakima County. I'm here today to implore you, City Council, to say no to raising taxes on property owners. We are taxed enough already. When will our electeds understand that enough is enough? Using the property owners as a place to farm for more tax revenue has got to stop. We must cut extra out of the budget. There was great ideas just now, and create an atmosphere where growth and businesses can flourish, where true wealth can grow, which in turn creates more revenue. Looking at the property owners as a place to farm more revenue through taxes is a losing proposition, and one that most people I talk to are frankly sick of. We need creative solutions and cost cutting just like regular working families have to do if there is not enough in the family budget. Using scare tactics to push through yet another tax is getting old. Sending this gigantic tax levy to the voters is ridiculous, when first of all that means people who are not property owners will be voting on whether to increase property owners' taxes or not. How is that representation? It's not. Where are the cuts? Why aren't we cutting now? Why wait? Regular, everyday working class people have to make cuts every day to keep up. So what makes bloated government safe from cutting like working class families have to? The bloated government bureaucrats will never want things to be cut because that is not in their best interest. That is where you come in, electeds. Like Kenton said, a lot of you ran on no new taxes. You work for us, the people. We aren't your children to be told what we must cut to be able for you to keep funding this bloated city budget. No, it's on you to cut what needs to be cut from this bloated city budget. Do your jobs. I thought this was a conservative city council. Please act like it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Torres. Mr. Beeler, is there anyone online who wants to address the council this evening?
No, Mayor Byers, there's not.
All right, thank you. Then we will end public participation and move into our study session items.
Pardon me, madam, I turned in the slip.
I do not have your slip, Mr. Corsi.
Is it this?
Has my name on it?
No. This is an agenda.
Yeah.
I don't have any other one.
We don't have your slip.
I can't help you guys, you don't have a whole lot of stuff, do you?
Well, we are past our 15-minute limit anyway, Mr. Corsi.
I was talking with a young lady, I think she's a model. She asked me, did I ever inform you guys?
Mr. Corsi, would you like to fill out a slip so you can address the council?
I did fill one out.
We do not have one.
Well, I'll fill it when I get done speaking, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Corsi, I will let you speak, but I'd like you to fill out the slip, please.
I will.
I'd like you to do it now, please. Thank you.
taking this one paper that's down below. Anyways, no, I did not inform the council back then why I fought so hard for the crosswalk. You see, on a Halloween night, a young kid, parents went trick-or-treating, and he was so excited, he got away from his parents, and he ran out in the road and got killed. So I know what a car does to a life. And for years, and for many months, the council before you guys told me, no, no, no. Now listen, 74 police cars, a fire truck with a ladder, $3.5 million, the crosswalk at St. Joseph's Church, oh, that was a bullshit story. The
Mr.
crosswalk
Corsi,
at,
I'm gonna ask you to
crosswalk at Hathaway, the
Mr.
crosswalk
Corsi,
at the college.
I'm going to ask you to stop, please.
Yeah,
Thank you. Please be seated.
notice my property
Thank you.
is Central Business District. That's how you got the grant. Stop with the lies. Thank you. There's a second form.
Okay. We are now moving on to the study session part. And the first is discussion, A is discussion of the downtown master plan and potential updates. Gary Blue, our Assistant City Manager, is going to present to council.
And we have no internet, Gary, so you're gonna have to, oh wait, it's working now.
Yours is working?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a miracle.
all right. Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Here to talk tonight about the downtown master plan and an update. It's a fairly brief presentation here, just to provide you some thoughts. As I've looked through that, I will let you know I feel like a little bit like Carrot Top opening up for the Foo Fighters. I'll do okay, but everybody's waiting for the main event. So, with that, on the master plan, so you received a master plan update in March of 2023. And that was provided in your packets. So if you have any specific, and not a lot has changed in the past couple years. The master plan itself was a large effort undertaken in 2013 with probably 18 months and actually some pre-planning before that. So background a little bit on a master plan. So it includes a land use element. It talks about infrastructure. It talks about a sense of place and placemaking. It's a big thing. There was a 22-person advisory board. So it takes a lot to put those together, and it covers a wide range of topics. And the time frame for that master plan is measured in decades. So as we look at this specific master plan, the area of study was quite large, north to south. It ran from Walnut to Lincoln, or south to north, and east to west, 8th Street to 7th Avenue. That was a big area. That was the study area. I included like the U are here. That's City Hall. Just kind of get a sense of where we are sitting right now. That really got reduced into some different project areas, but the main focus was an area called the City Center, which was around Yakima Avenue and 2nd Street. And we look at that City Center project, the master plan, and this is the language from the master plan, was the plaza, was the game changer project for the City Center. And then the plaza was supposed to lead and drive many of the follow-on projects. Those include like a retail Main Street on Chestnut, and that was partially done. A public market, which that project has been discontinued. Yakima Avenue, shrinking that, and basically a boulevard out of that. That wasn't implemented. Diversion study, which was looking at traffic. Zoning overlay was done. And then several other efforts that were put on indefinite hold. So as we look at, and just a note, some of the successes were in there. There was a parking plan. There was improvements to Chestnut, and since I had the "You Are Here" signs, I put the "Gary Lives Here," so I live in the Tieton building.
saw that.
So if anybody wants to get me, they know where I'm at now. So improvements to Chestnut, this is Mickey's. Here, my wife really likes Mickey's a lot. She likes the outdoor seating. So some of those improvements were done. And no public market, but we did get an improved farmer's market with facility and an entryway, much of that paid for by the Rotary. So where do we go from here? It is time for an update. It's been a decade since, or 12 years actually, since the master plan was done. And if you think about the planning process, it's really probably about 13 years old. Main drivers for a downtown are retail and office space, and those things change a lot during COVID. So, we work from home now. We work remote, especially office workers. And then retail changed a lot where we used to buy from stores, buy from boxes. Now we buy things and have them delivered. And it's swung back a little bit, but it's not going to return to what we would refer to as normal or pre-COVID. The effort of a master plan really requires commitment, a lot of parties. The feeling is we need to build some trust and some momentum on downtown. So I'm thinking something of a smaller scale and really talking about a strategic plan. So strategic plan sets out goals. They're SMART, which means specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. It's also measured in a time frame of like 3 to 5 years, and it will focus on specific areas. So it's not trying to implement everything in the master plan, but maybe pick some of the areas where we think we can make some progress. To the next step in that would really be engaging first some funding partners. So there's a saying that if people underwrite the plan, or if people write the plan, they'll underwrite the plan. So getting people to up front, really having strong engagement from the downtown business community. That can be difficult. I mean, they're running a business, so you can't. Oh. Okay. So you can do you can't do the usual of like trying to have a meeting on a Tuesday afternoon, right? We have to find different ways to engage the actual downtown businesses, have community members, get a steering committee together. It'll take some time to do that, and what I hope to get out of that is like three to 5 goals that come out of that with actions and next steps. So you'd have goals, then actions and tasks that would be undertaken not only by the city but by a larger group, and have a smaller scale. That's kind of where we're at right now, and getting some feedback or thoughts on that direction before we kind of pursue down that path.
Any questions or comments from Mr. Blue?
I think it's great. I like the path of that. I think you're right. I think trying to take on a master plan seems like a huge deal, but you can definitely take on a strategic plan, and I think we should. We've talked about downtown for a long time, and during our parking saga of the downtown, that was one of the biggest things that businesses really talked about, is having, like, there's no strategic plan on what we want to do down here, and it feels like that. And so I think getting those guys to buy in and helping us craft this is huge. So
I agree.
Thank you. Any other comments by council? Thank you,
I
Mr. Blue.
kind of like to weigh in on that a little
Go right
bit.
ahead. Go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Councilman Glenn. Go ahead, please.
As I look at the downtown area, it's been that way for decades, and we have been making them pay extra money to do extra things that are supposed to make it better. Is that success measurable? I would be in favor of pulling all the business owners in the downtown area and have them weigh in. Are we doing anything that's worth continuing, or is it better for us just to leave each of you to your own devices and see where you end up?
Thank you.
And get their opinion instead of just deciding as a council, this is what we're going to do.
Thank you, Councilman Glenn. I appreciate those remarks. Anybody else from council? I will tell you that that the master plan, I was not on council, but followed council at the time that it was developed, I think about between 2010, 2013. And steps were made to do something really huge. It didn't work out well. And so there was a recovery time from that. And then came COVID. And a lot of things changed in terms of businesses. And that really has affected our downtown as well. During COVID, then Councilman, don't help me here. Councilman Hill, thank you. And I were meeting with the downtown merchants, trying to form some strategies at the time, to move things forward. But it was very difficult during COVID to do that, so that also just kind of stopped. So we're at a good place, I think, to agree with Councilman Glenn that we need to engage the business people downtown in that conversation before we make any ideas move forward.
Sure.
Thank
Definitely.
you.
Okay, thanks.
Next on the discussion is a resolution authorizing the submission of a ballot proposal for a property tax levy lid lift. And our finance director, Craig Warner, is going to address the council.
Good evening, council. I kind of like Foo Fighters better, actually. Although Garth Brooks would work well for me, too. Before you is a resolution, and I'm just going to read the resolution. Just a little background first, though. So council basically last week voted to have this move forward for staff to move this resolution forward for your consideration tonight. So the resolution is this. It's a resolution providing for the submission to the qualified electors of the city of Yakima at an election to be held on November 4th, 2025, of a proposition authorizing the city to lift the levy limit established in RCW 8455010 in order to provide funds to pay costs of city operations and services, including public safety, parks and recreation, streets, and related services, and providing for severability and an effective date. And the ballot title, because that proposition is in here as well, and you will be considering tonight, let me read that. It is a levy lid lift for public safety, parks and recreation, streets, and other related city services. The City of Yakima, City Council adopted resolution number, there wasn't a resolution number on it, concerning funding for city services and operations. This proposition would provide funding to sustain city operations and services, including public safety, parks and recreations, streets, and other related services by increasing the city's regular property tax levy by 50 cents per thousand to a maximum levy rate of $2.46 per thousand of assessed valuation for collection in 2026. The 2026 levy amount will be used as the basis to calculate subsequent levies per RCW 8455. Qualifying seniors, veterans, and others would be exempt under RCW 84.36. Should this proposition be approved, yes or no? So that is ultimately the resolution, and I don't know that I have a whole lot more to say other than that.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Council?
Yeah, I've got a lot to say, but first I want to say thanks for the riveting discussion last week, council. It was fun. I will say this is I do want to apologize if any of my questions or poking or prodding and asking was if you felt that was too much. I'm sorry. I am trying to get this is a very serious discussion. The reason why taxpayers have not approved a tax increase is because it is a very serious discussion. and so that is why I felt like we need to have this type of serious discussion. So I want to apologize for that. But the other aspect of this is I have asked Craig since I got back some questions in response to last week. One of those was kind of looking at a forecast because it's really hard as a council to make a decision on things if you don't actually, obviously forecasts are only as good as the person forecasting. I think Craig's great at it. So, but when you're trying to make a decision, especially in your business, you need to kind of look as much as you can into the future. So I was looking, and Craig happened to get this today, which was, thank you for this. I just want to go through it a little bit. So the general fund forecast, if we made no changes, obviously it looks like a dumpster fire, right? So 2026, we've already talked about the 9 million. The projected for 2027. That's why I'm asking this question, because we have yet to have a conversation about 27 and 28. And if you're having a question about 26, you need to also look at 27, 28. So looking at 27 and 28, obviously if we made no changes, it looks real bad, right? 24 million, 42 million. So if you flip the next page, looking at the general forecast, fund forecast with $9 million in cuts, looking at 2026, you're a little bit, obviously you have your policy reserve met, but your net fund balance is only about a little less than $1 million. Going into 2027 and 2028, we're back in the deficit, and we're back into 3.2 million and between $5 and $8 million in 2028. Going into cuts, again, more cuts. So if we flip the page again, this is something that I found interesting. Going into, if the $6 million revenue and the $3 million in cuts, if that were to happen, looking at that, very similar numbers in 26, actually a little bit less, actually in our net fund balance with the levy passing, which is interesting. The other two interesting notes is 27 and 28 look almost identical to how it looked with $9 million in cuts. So I say that because, our job as a council is to try to navigate through very difficult financial things. And without looking at some sort of projections, this shows me here is that either cutting 9 million or doing a property tax levy, we're still in the same boat come 2027 and 2028. Very similar boat. Which leads me to, sometimes, I've heard many comments of people say, you got to stop kicking the can down the road. You're just going to have to make cuts. You're just going to have to do the things that you don't want to do. And so as I've looked at this, I'm going, look, are there other things? We don't know exactly how 27 or 28 are going to look like. However, we can't be naive to not look at this when we're trying to make this decision. Because if we send this to a ballot, come 2027 or next year when we actually have to start making 2027 budgets, are we going to ask for more levies? We're going to ask for more sales tax? We're going to ask for more utility taxes to try to balance 27 and 28? Like, where does it stop? That's kind of the point behind this aspect. Now, my second point is $6 million in property tax is one thing. What we haven't had a discussion about is $3 to $4 million in cuts. We've had a ton of all of the things that could possibly be cut, right? From everything. But we don't have an actual cut package options that has been presented to this council. We have dollars that has been presented to this council, but not what those dollars equate to. And I feel like for us to make a decision on whether this resolution goes to a ballot or whether we change the resolution or whatever we do, I feel like we have to have some cut packages as a responsible thing with this forecast in mind, looking at how do we actually get to where we're not dealing with this issue. Part of why I brought up a fire district last week is there's some obviously financial implications with that inside the city. It's also to the taxpayers as well, which is, ultimately it's another discussion. But I think as we look at these things, we've talked about economic development as being how do we grow ourselves out of this. I'm going to be honest with you, 27, 28, I think we'd be really lucky to try to have some sort of growth in 27. Right now, I think you factored in it was like 1% growth, right, for sales tax. Maybe by 28, most likely looking at 29, 30 for some of this economic development stuff to actually happen, which means we can't kick the ball down the field and say, like $9 million in cuts, that's very micro level, But the macro level view of what this is that even $9 million of cuts or the taxes, we're still in the same situation come 27 and 28. And that's an issue, in my opinion, because we cannot keep going back to the taxpayers to try to balance our books. We have to figure out how to stop this from happening. And, and I've had very heated discussions with staff about this, because, again, at home, our people that live in our community do not have the ability to just continuously just pay for more things so that they can have government. It's a hardship that is created. I talked to 3 different landlords this week. Rick will appreciate this, and Leo. I talked to 3 different landlords this week. The 3 of them combined probably have, I would say, maybe 30 to 40% of the affordable housing in our community, which was interesting. They told me, they said, the one thing that you guys haven't brought up, and they all 3 of them actually lean differently on the political aisle. So it was an interesting conversation to have. But one of the things that they said to me was, Matt, so one of the providers goes, 99% of my rentals are below $1,000. I am the affordable housing guy. Like, that is what I do. He goes, your tax increase of $6 million, or asking the voters to increase it for $6 million, would increase my taxes about $32,000 across my properties. That was the affordable housing. And then looking at the other 2 providers, he was into about $150,000 to $250,000 appropriately between those 3 providers. And they said, there's currently not a mechanism for them to try to recoup all of those costs that quickly. And so what will end up happening is, as they make these cost adjustments, you're now talking studio apartments, 1-bedroom apartments that are going to be going for over $1,000, which means affordable housing is going to be pricing people out. We talked about that tonight. It's going to be pricing people out. We already have a homeless issue in our community. And I was like sitting there going, good grief. This is real fun to hear this from these 3 gentlemen. The other issue that he brought up, and why I'm leaving it on this, is that he said, and this was not a conservative I am talking to on this aspect. He said, if I would have this on a ballot, I would vote no. And he said, I would vote no because I am not getting anything in return. And he said, and here's the reason. He goes, I'm not getting better police coverage. I'm getting status quo police coverage. I'm not getting more fire departments. I'm not getting more fire units. I'm getting the same. I'm not getting more parks and greener grass and no weeds. I'm getting the same. There's nothing better about this. The only thing that's better is my tax bill that I have to pay. And I was like, interesting. And he said, now you can take that and use it if you would like. And I said, okay, I will. But he said too, he goes, look, I'm not asking for anyone to feel sad for me. I get it. I own properties and I will have to end up paying that. But I just want the council to understand those are the questions and answers that you have to think through when it comes to when we talk about affordable housing, when it talks to any of those things. So that is where I'm at. And as I've looked at, obviously last week I voted against this, but as I looked at the resolution, I personally think it would be for us, we have time. We have until August 4th.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
We have to have a resolution prepared and then a vote.
And a
So
vote.
it depends on if it's a new thing, we'd have to
Right.
have a week.
Right. And my opinion would be that we need to start looking at cut packages before we go down the road of voting in this resolution. And there needs to be some options on the table when it comes to cut packages. The voters deserve to know what these cut packages look like. And my question to the council is, what does that look like to you? The folks that have wanted to pass this tax increase, what does $3 million in cut packages look like? Because these guys need to know what you guys are thinking when it comes to cut packages so they can prepare it. Now, I also did some other digging on some things, and it changes by every 5 seconds when our aspects. One of the things I looked at in our budget, and I misquoted it last week because there was a wrong document that I looked at. Instead of 900 FTEs, there's 783 FTEs that are currently in there. That's budgeted. Currently, we average between, it's like 650 to 680 over the last 6 months on what those are filled, with some temps and those type of things. There is a ton of positions across the entire city scope, not just the general fund, that are currently not filled. They don't have human beings in them yet. They are not filled positions, but they have costs associated to them, and they are budgeted. There is about 30 or so, maybe 25 or so that are impacted in the general fund. That equates to anywhere between, I don't know, $1 million to $2 million in some salary savings, maybe even about $3 million depending on some things. That has no human being implications because they're not tied to humans yet, right? So I say some of that, and then the last aspect is I looked at, I have 2 community centers here tonight, and I want to thank the Harmon Center folks, especially from my district. Thank you for coming. Some of the stuff I looked at in those 2 groups, I had the Parks Department kind of break down all of the expenditures inside the Parks Department. The Harmon Center and in the Washington Fruit Center, our number 1 cost in those areas is labor. I mean, that's no joke. Everything of our cost is labor. But when we look at those 2 centers, it's labor. To the point of probably around $900,000 to $1 million worth of labor that is in those 2 facilities. I know because I've gone to these Seniors Inc. meetings over at Harmon Center, and they have stressed multiple times that they would like to do more. They're here to help. They want to try to cut costs as much as possible. And we have stopped them from doing those things. And I'm saying here is I think there's other ways. That's just in the time that I've been able to really dive into a lot of these things, been able to pinpoint some of these things. I think there's more of those things to be had. So with that regard, I would like to know kind of what cut packages you guys are thinking.
Well, how long would it take to do a cut package? Because we have to go through so many departments and.
Yeah, so when we came with the recommendations the first time, there was a $1.8 million package that was shared that night with our recommendations. I think if we knew the amount, that would be helpful because we haven't really had any direction on what size to bring to you. So that would be helpful. I don't know if you have any other thoughts, Craig?
Yeah, I think that would be the most important number. If it's an entire $9 million, then that's what we can look at. If it's $4.5 million, if it's $3 million, whatever that number is, that's probably the biggest number that we need.
Well, I think looking at the current resolution, I think we need to know what 3 million looks like. I mean, to be honest with you, in my opinion. That's what this resolution is. We need to know what 3 million looks like. And we need to have some other options when it comes to those things. And I don't mean options like in revenue options. I mean, like, you could take 3 million here, you could do 3 million this way, you could do 3 million this way. What does that look like?
Thank you. Would other council like to address that issue? I would like to say that, I agree. It'd be great if we could have some ideas on what those cuts might be. The city manager cannot put that together without direction from the council. So we, in fairness, need to give her direction before she can put together a cut package and what that might look like and what her recommendations would be in working with staff and departments. So,
which is great, but
Can I go on, please?
I'm just asking from this council,
Mr.
what would we want? What do you guys see as the cut package? I'm not asking them.
I know. I'm making a statement. I appreciate not interrupting me again. Thank you. So she does need direction from the council. And that's the point I was making. It's not fair to ask her to come with a cut package without giving her direction to do that. So I am in agreement with that. I want to know from Sarah, for example, there's been a lot of talk about, and I don't disagree with it, about can we use volunteers in certain program areas? Are there any legal restrictions on that?
It depends on a lot of factors. The HR director might be a better person to formally answer your question, but I think it really depends. We have a number of collective bargaining agreements that would have to be reviewed. You're not allowed to replace labor with volunteers in many circumstances, so we would have to evaluate what work was being done and whether it was a straight replacement for a paid staff member, and things like that. So I can't really say for sure, but there are restrictions to using volunteers instead of paid staff members in a lot of cases. So we'd have to look on a case-by-case basis.
So I would appreciate it then if we were talking about volunteers, for example, at one of the senior community centers at Harmon Center or the Washington Fruit Place. I've been to both of them, love their programs there, it's great. What would be any restrictions or considerations there? I think that, for example, in Parks and Rec, in terms of maintenance or care of the parks, what would be the restrictions there? I say that because I think we could use neighborhood volunteers to do that. I walk Kissel Park 5 mornings a week, and every day I pick up garbage. So I'm happy to save somebody else an hour of their time by doing that. So I just think we can consider some of those things. I think it's very worthwhile to do that. And I think having that information on hand in terms of looking at cuts would be helpful. So to know what those are.
Yeah, and we'd have to look at a lot of things before we can say for certain what we think we're going to cut, because there's just so many.
Right. Councilman Glenn, do you have any comments?
Yeah. I think last week, as we went through this issue, basically we made the decision that we will have at least $3 million in cuts. And I've heard arguments that we probably need to do more than that. The one issue that it really becomes a PR issue is if we're going to do a tax increase and what Matt said about, we're not going to have as much as we have right now, that is a really hard sell. So we have to put something together. I look at the thing, I say, well, maybe the idea would be to have council put together, the staff put together, what would it look like? What would we do if we go with the $6 million? And then what would exactly the $3 million cuts be? The other option might be to look at $4.5 million, because I heard that thrown around. And we could say, okay, if we go $4.5 million, what would that be? And, I really think that the only way to do this is to put it before the voters and let them decide, because ultimately they're the ones that are going to be most affected. And I agree with everything that Matt said. Our government is way ahead in expense of the income of our people, our population in Yakima. And it's a very difficult thing to deal with, and there is no easy solution.
Thank you, Councilman Glenn. Go ahead.
I think it's our responsibility when we have a situation like this, to send it to the voters so they can help tell us what they want. We can't make that decision on that kind of, amount of money. It's up to the voters.
Now, Councilman Herrera.
And I think it actually helps or hinders us showing those packages, like Deputy Mayor said, so they know what is potentially on the cutting board as well too. So I've heard 3, I heard half 4.5, and then the actual total 9 million. If everybody's in that direction of cuts.
Thank you.
I think we're going to base it on the resolution. Is that the numbers that we were going to look at, the 6 and the?
That is the resolution that we're looking at this evening. And I just want to say I'm going to agree with you, Councilman. I'm having a hard time with names tonight. Councilman DCO, thank you very much. I've thought about this since the very start of the conversation. And do I know that it's difficult? Absolutely, because you can sit in my seat and try to make this decision yourself. It's been difficult for the entire council. Is it difficult for the people in the city? Absolutely, no matter what happens. Cuts, no cuts, partial cuts, there are going to be some costs. The conclusion I came to for myself personally is, as a matter of fact, I had over the 4th of July weekend, which is even before, we talked about it, but it was reaffirmed to me. I had 2 people reading the Declaration of Independence and thinking about the time that our country went to get independence. We have the Declaration of Independence, we have the Constitution, and one of the factors in the Declaration of Independence is that they were being taxed without representation. The motto became no taxation without representation. And that's why I think it is fair to let the people decide for themselves whether or not, and you can shake your head no, that's okay, you don't have to agree with me. I think it is fair to ask the people in our community, what are you willing to do? And if you're willing to do nothing, we'll take that. It's just that we're asking you, as the people who live in this community, play in this community, work in this community, shop in this community, receive services in this community, what really is important to you. That's what I want to know. Councilman Brown.
Again, I'm just going to ask, what does this council want to cut at $3 million? Because that has to be determined. We cannot just say $3 million. What does that look like? If you're going to send this to the voters, that's one thing. You're talking about revenue. And I'm not disagreeing that voters should have a say in what they're getting taxed. What I am saying is that it's irresponsible as an elected to send something without having a plan of what these cuts look like, and for us voting on cuts before this happens. And I say that with all respect, but here's the problem. $3 million of cuts looks different for Councilman Decio, it looks different for Councilman Herrera, it looks different for Councilman Roy, it looks different for Councilman Brown, it looks different for you, Mayor, and it looks different for Councilman Berg, and it looks different for Rick.
So,
Those cuts have, and what I'm saying is this group has to be able to give direction on what those cuts look like so that they can come up with cut packages, and then we can decide if those cut packages, because here's the deal, we get down another 10 yards down the field on this, and we see these cut packages, and we go, we don't like any of these.
I don't disagree with you on that at all. I think it's a good plan.
Nobody
to
wants to
present.
cut anything.
Yeah, nobody wants to cut anything, but we will make some very clear recommendations on that when we get the report. I don't disagree with that at all.
No.
My point is that I think that when we decide that, we put it before the voters.
But they're not going to decide the cuts.
No.
So I'm trying to say right now, this council tonight, before we vote on something, to do anything, I think it would be irresponsible for us to vote on something like this without having the full picture of what these cut packages look like. Now, I've brought up freezing positions. I've brought up other aspects of clearing some staffing and other things to make these cuts happen at $3 million. I have not heard from any council member from this table, this horseshoe, any proposed cuts.
Maybe not with you directly, but I will tell you there have been conversations with staff, with other council persons. We've all considered those things. We all have ideas from people that we talk to in the city, on staff, fellow council members. Your ideas for cuts are not unique. I want to give you credit for that, but they're not unique. And I agree, we should know what those cuts are. I think it will help the taxpayers.
The people
Excuse
deserve
me,
to know.
Can I finish, please? Thank you. I just think it'll be helpful in making a decision that we do have a cuts package in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that will be the responsibility of the council in terms of giving direction to our city manager, because she can't do anything and we do that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem doing a cut package to match the 6 million that we're at, or to make up for what the,
Right.
But doing the cut package is what's going to take some time and thoughtful consideration. We can't just throw things out there and hope they stick on the wall. I mean, we've got to actually think these through strategically. And I don't know how long that's going to take. So.
The other option we have, and thank you for bringing it up, Councilman DC, is that we can have special meetings. We have enough time, we have enough opportunity for special meetings for the council to get together and to do this. And I just think that's fair. I also think we have some idea from the city surveys and from the work that our budget committee did in terms of what some of those cuts might look like. We can use those as starting points. and go from there.
I got another comment.
Go ahead, Councilman, please do.
I'm sitting here looking at this situation, and I'm actually down in Utah right now, and
Lucky you.
gasoline is 1/3 cheaper down here than it is in Washington. And we currently have an annexation deal that is being considered that we received extreme opposition from the citizens saying we don't want to come to Yakima because it's too expensive. And then the third thing is that we have this mill site, which is one of the most prime spots of real estate located on a freeway in a city, inside city limits. It should be a gold mine. And yet, because of all of the expenses and costs that are incurred with developing that and the way that things are in the city of Yakima right now, nobody wants to step forward and do anything with it. So, you know, you get talking about the idea we need to develop as a city. We need to become more prosperous. And all these illustrate we have some very serious problems because it's too expensive to do business here compared to the potential return on investment. I think at the end of the day, what would probably be the smart thing to do would be to direct SNAF to go ahead and prepare a proposal. What would happen if we take out the 9 million? What would happen if we take out 4.5 million? What would happen if we take out 3 million and present that for our consideration? As I look at what's going on right now and I listen to the senior citizens, I know we don't have enough money to do everything we want to do police-wise. We don't have enough money to do everything the firemen want to do. And we have things like swimming pools and community centers, and I think those are critical to our community. And a lot of people, those are almost a lifeline. I'm thinking I would rather cut other places before I cut those. So, you know, and I think as we present these ideas to the community for a vote, that we need to have that out on the line so that people can say, okay, if I go this direction, you know, if I vote for this, will I still have these amenities that I'm counting on, or am I going to lose them? And so that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'd like to see us put together 3 proposals that we can consider to go along with the levy increase request, so that, you know, the proposal that we did last week where we said, okay, let's just do $10 million. That would cover everything. We don't have to cut anything. You can say, yes, we do. No, we don't. But now that we're saying, okay, we're not going to go that route, we're going to go with a lesser amount. We need to quantify those so that the voters have something that they can realistically look at and use to make a decision.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you, Councilman
that we
Glenn.
probably do need to do some extra meetings to do this.
I would agree with that. Councilman Berg, thoughts? We haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah, as far as like a cut package, I would instantly go with what Matt kind of said with the vacant positions. Yesterday, I was under the impression that would be around $3 to $3.2 million.
That was not a current list.
Okay.
That was an older list. And we could get the current list. I'll just tell you it's mostly police and fire.
But there are,
So if you freeze them, you don't have those positions if you're not going to fund them.
There's not people
Just to
in
make,
them.
there's not people in them, but it's still removing positions, just
right.
if that's what
But as we
council is
sort
talking
kind of
about.
through this, wade through it, could we technically add those back eventually?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think you can. It was costly down the road to add them in after the position's been closed. It will cost more money to do that and take more time, but we can do that, yes.
Theoretically, okay. Included in the package, anything pretty much under 200,000, I would include that. So fireworks, Windows Live, flower pots downtown, council travel, trolley maintenance. And then, you know, this afternoon I saw something on social media, and I would urge staff to kind of entertain this, council. Could we explore interlocal agreements with other municipalities around the area? Fire stations, whatever, EMS, stuff like that. I would like to see, is that possible? How much would it cost? Because something kind of was brought to my attention today that, you know, it was concerning. So I would like to see kind of a package that way if we could look at something like that. Would we save money?
Aren't interlocals contracts?
Yeah, are you saying to contract our services with somebody else?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that, you know, I know my prior life was over across the street. We always looked for ways to partner with others. I mean, for example, there's our probation. There's only one consolidated probation program in the county, and it's run by the county, but the cities participate. I know we at one point had consolidated purchasing. I know we have an Office of Emergency Management that's consolidated, and there's quite a few things as you kind of go down through there. I think we're looking for those types of things all the time. Yeah, I know we have the fire is a great example, as you mentioned, with Union Gap. So any of those things where we can find those, if there's ideas, we can always pursue those, I believe.
My
to see
idea
if they
was
would save money.
the station on Zero Road out there. I would like to look into that because there were something said, so I would just like to see what the options are.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking.
Are you talking about them providing service?
Yeah,
for
just,
us,
you know.
Because I think we already have a joint response.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on
Yeah,
what it
'cause-
is you're requesting.
92 is the big one that Chief brought up last week. So if that closes down, could we contract out elsewhere to keep response times down, all that stuff?
Like with Fire 12 or something like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just an idea.
Thank you, Councilman Berg. Councilman Roy.
Yes. All right, yeah, well, sitting here, it's been wow, you know. I do believe that we do need to see Matt's right on and Bree and you guys, we need to see what these cuts are gonna look like because I don't know what a $4 million cut looks like. I know we cut 4 million, but what are we losing? I mean, and we have a chance to look at that. Before we even look at any type of, parks levies, anything we want to put on the ballot to raise type of revenue. And I agree. I think this is a subject we need to spend more time in the next couple of weeks. And I do think we do need to have our own time to put stuff together and meet again and talk more about this and get a decision pretty fast before August.
Yep.
And so,
We will need to get a decision before that, so.
yeah, but we do need more time to spend on this as a council. And
I'm asking council, is everyone in agreement or open to some special meetings to accomplish all this?
Yeah,
Sure.
I think we have to.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Brown.
I'm gonna ask two questions. Now, I understand there's a lot of conversations that council members have with staff. However, I still think there needs to be a discussion on what do you guys, when you say 3 million, so I'm looking at the two projections from 27 and 28, and it doesn't look much rosier for us, guys. And I'm going, so a $3 million cut now still doesn't give us where we need to be by 27, and it doesn't get us where we need to be by 28. So I really think council, you guys need to actually have what those things are that you're looking at for $3 million worth of cuts. Because staff is going to give us all of the things they've already given us. This is what this looks like. But they need a direction on what the 3 million looks like, what does 4.5 million look like, what does $9 million worth of cuts look like.
Yes, and that's what we're going to do, but we can't do it tonight.
But I'm just thinking, like, if you have had those discussions, I think you need to be able to say those things out loud to the public, so that these guys have direction on where to go to put these packages together. They don't know. You're asking them to come up with a $3 million cut package on what? There could be 50 different $3 million cut packages. On what? That's what these guys need to know.
That's what we need to
Yeah.
direct with staff. We're not disagreeing with that.
We're not
Deputy
disagreeing.
Mayor Brown, one thing I thought about today, and I actually heard Chief say the same thing. Every department in our city is a part of a system that works. we need to know how those systems interact. Just like the human body, we have a bunch of different systems, and if we shut a whole system down, it's going to adversely affect everything. So we need to look at how the systems in the city, the departments and services interact to make sure we don't cut any lifelines, so to speak. So we do need to have that discussion.
And we can also do some things in the interim, like raising fees and finding other sources of revenue.
Yes.
Before we get to 2027, or has that been considered?
No, I was just gonna say that as long as there's a 1% cap, we'll have a gap every year.
Okay.
Because costs are always gonna be higher than 1%. And so when we see this projection, it's a projection, but I mean, we're always gonna have a gap.
Yeah.
And the city's had a gap since 2001 and has cut and closed the gap in many different ways over the years. So I think we'll always have that. That's just the structural problem with how cities are funded.
But it's not $9 million.
No,
No, but it's 8.
if we don't do
If we don't
anything.
do anything.
No, by 2027 with a $6 million, or 2028 with a $6 million levy and $3 million in cuts, you're looking at an $8 million net fund balance.
So we would have to cut 3 million. I mean, the 1% estimate is 3 million.
Yeah.
And then if you don't correct anything, it goes to 8. So the following year, it's what,
I guess my point is, like, I think there might actually need to be more than $3 million worth of cuts.
And there may
Because
be-
the $9 million doesn't get us there, the
Right.
$3 million doesn't get us there. And, I mean, I understand what you're saying with the 1% and all of that aspect, but the reason why it's not getting us there is because we're providing more services than we can afford.
that is
That is what it is. And so I've asked the question twice, and I have not really, you guys have said, well, we will direct staff. Direct them on what? What are the $3 million of cuts that you're looking at?
Well, I think that council can start with, let's look at the survey results. Let's look how people rank the cuts, the people that answered the city. Let's go back and review what our budgeting committee looked at in terms of recommendations. Those are starting points. And you're welcome. I brought that up earlier, actually. Thank you for remembering that. So there are things that we really need, that we can do. We're not going to do it tonight.
No.
That's the whole point. And so we can do them in the meantime. And we can, Mr. Warner?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I thought you were waving
No, I
your
didn't,
hand.
yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, though.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Well, there's a couple of things that I think, since I've been here, which is little over 2 months, we've been looking at the priorities of government. And we've been looking at those priorities. We've shown the $9 million worth of reductions. I've heard a couple of ideas that are kind of different than that tonight. One of them is looking at, is there ways we can partner with other governments? That may be something that we can look at in a very specific, if you know what we're looking at, and that's a great opportunity to maybe look at that. I've also heard that there's an open position list that we know about, and again, those are just positions that are today, they may be open and tomorrow they're filled because they're going through a process with civil service. It takes time to fill those. But what I am hearing is maybe council would like to direct us to look at as many places as we possibly can, not filling positions that are vacant, so people don't lose their jobs, is what I'm hearing. So if that's something that, overall, the council would be willing to say, have us direct us to look that way, I think that would be something we could do. I think the other things, that we can look at are, do we have to stay within the priorities of government? Is that where you want us to stay, or do you want us to be creative beyond what's there? And then the last thing is, and this is the tough one, is there anything off limits? Because we can go down a rabbit hole many, many times, and if it's off limits, it's off limits. So the more of that kind of thing we know up front, we don't have a lot of time, because as you mentioned, we have till August 4th to have something passed to be able to get it to a ballot, if that's what it's going to go to. And at the end of the day, if we can try to save time by saying these things are off limits, that would be very helpful. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warner, and I think that's we need to consider as council coming back next time and talking about it, we need to identify things that for us and for our district or for our thinking or people that we're listening to, what do we think is off limits, if anything?
Yeah, and that should probably be the first thing we do,
Mm-hmm.
and then go from there.
For myself, I would like to cut everything that's council-related. I think we have to do that.
No, I'm willing to do that. I was willing
So
to do that.
anything,
Salaries too?
I'm willing to do that. I mean, I'm serious, guys. Like, I'm not being flippant here. Like, there is a measure of showing and leading by example, and we're talking about, all of the other aspects. I'm going, everything that involves council, we should seriously look at cutting. I would actually entertain all of the things that was proposed at 1.8 million originally. I would entertain that now. Like, cut it, 1.8 million. Because there is an aspect to these things that we need to look at. But again, as we're looking at all of this, we have to be able to, the off-limits thing to me is humans,
Well, yeah.
right now. However, we've got memberships to organizations, we've got, there's all sorts of things that this council has in our little piggy bank. It is a piggy bank. It's not even a real bank. It's literally like a small little piggy bank.
It's a penny.
Penny bank, yeah. That we can just hawk suey it, get it out of here. That would be my first thing to help you, in my opinion, is going that direction. The other, you asked a question about priorities, and I think the way priorities of government was pitched to us was hearing what the community wanted us to fund, and then making sure that we fund those things, right? Well, we are funding those things. What it showed, 82% public safety, we are funding those things that they prioritize. So now we've gotten that out of the way. Now you mentioned being creative on these things. I'm like, yes, please be creative. Like, let's look at everything that we can possibly do, because 27 and 28 don't look much rosier. And
I want to say that this council made the decision last fall or summer. I think we made the decision to come into fall and develop a priority-based budget.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a great amount of time spent on that with council so that we would understand what it meant. And I think that we all do, that we form our budget around what the city priorities are. So I think it was a good exercise, not only for council to increase understanding, but for our community who had an opportunity to get a lot of education about priority-based budgeting as well, to understand how that works. So, I believe that we made the right decision in moving toward priority-based budgeting, and we need to stick to the plan.
Well, and I think we should, like you said, we should stick to what our strategic plan is and use that as the basis of what we cut.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Sarah, I think I asked you a couple years ago, maybe, if we could, and maybe you don't remember, if we could cut salaries of the council, and you said no.
You can choose not to take your salaries, but how the law works is that you can't change your salaries and have it be effective while you are in your seat. Most of this comes up when people try to increase the salaries. It's not usually the other way around. So, for example, if you voted in a salary increase, that would not be effective for anyone until their term was over. And so with our structure, actually, it would be
Really weird.
So
half of you would get an increase and half of you wouldn't at some point, the first time around. But it can't. You can choose not to take your paycheck probably at the end of the day, but it will not, you can't vote to change it that way and have it be effective immediately.
Any other comments? Go ahead, Councilman Glenn.
I remember when there used to be granges all up and down the valley, and volunteers would take care of the granges, and they would have social events and do things. And our Harmon Center, our pools.
Mr. Glenn, your hand is interfering with the microphone somehow.
Uh-oh.
Thank you.
You hear me okay now?
Yes.
Anyway, so we had these granges, and they used to be a great social activity for people. And I think as our community evolves, now we have the Harmon Center, and we have the Fruit Center, and we have the swimming pools. And as much as possible, let's try and work volunteers back into that. I think we have to kind of integrate ourselves as a community. As a city, we've kind of evolved to the point where basically everything you pay for in dollars and cents, and you hire staff to do it, and all these services are handled with dollars and cents. You know, and law enforcement is something that we're nowhere near on top of, but at the same time, the biggest problem with it is that we have so many people in our community that have no sense of obligation to be law-abiding citizens. And so the way that we have been doing our law enforcement and our courts over the years has worked against that. But I would really like to see us find ways to get the members of the community more involved in the community activities. You know, the thing that we have right now, if you see a crime, it's like, don't say anything, you know, don't help the cops solve the crime. Why? How did we get that attitude as a community? So I think we're to the point where spending more dollars isn't going to solve our problems. And the mandates and the laws that are coming down from Olympia, we're not even close as a city to complying with everything that they're telling us to do. So we have to start picking and choosing what we're going to do as a community, with the understanding that we can't do everything that Olympia expects us to do.
Thank you, Councilman Glenn. I want to add to that a little bit. I do believe that we can create sources of volunteerism, but I also believe that we can ask people in the community who are able to and have an interest in a certain area to sponsor a program or to sponsor a youth activity. Or we had last year, I think it was Forbes Mercy, who donated $50,000, yes. Right, because he was committed to children having summertime activities. We have people in this community who have very generous hearts and who may be willing to do those things. So I think something else we should do is maybe outline some opportunities for sponsorship, that if people are willing to step forward, then we can move in them.
I agree.
Any other comments by council?
So tonight, if we're going to get the cutting package, we can't really move forward on this resolution.
That's correct.
I would, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. So
Do
we are
have a
not going to do that.
resolution?
Yeah, I would entertain a motion that could be open for ongoing discussion if we need to, in terms of what we do after tonight.
Well, I would like to move that we put together some meetings to talk about the cutting package and to make some decisions on that, and then bring it back. And then, once we're decided on that, then we vote for a resolution to take it to the voters.
I'll second.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Councilwoman Decio and a second by Deputy Mayor Brown to have additional meetings as are necessary for the council to come back with cuts, identified cuts, and
Yeah,
that would be-
meetings to do
okay.
that, yeah.
Meetings to do that, okay.
Right?
Yes. So the other thing
So
to
I
address
second
is the resolution tonight. Let me just ask you, Sarah, before we move ahead. I know it's not part of this motion, but then we would table a decision tonight for.
Yeah, I think it necessarily postpones the motion.
Okay.
From what I heard from Councilmember Decio's motion, it was to put together meetings to talk about a cut package, and after having those meetings, bring back a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Did I hear that right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I
We'll bring back this resolution.
This resolution.
This resolution, okay.
Okay.
Right.
I would make an amendment to the motion. Okay. First of all, I appreciate the motion. I agree with it. I just want the amendment to say cut packages and other options in developing the budget. So we can consider volunteerism, we consider sponsorship, we can consider
Revenue
other.
sources.
Yeah. Mhm.
I'll second.
Thank you. So
I think it would also be wise to say, let's look at three numbers. Let's look at 4.5 million, let's look at 3 million, and let's look at 9 million in cuts.
okay,
and
I'm going to ask
identify
you.
those.
I'm going to ask you, Councilman Glenn, to wait and make an amendment on the motion when this amendment is voted on.
We don't
So
need
right-
two amendments.
Right now, we have a motion on the floor, the first and a second, to amend the original motion, and the amendment is to add "and other volunteerism and other resources to cover program." Okay, all of those in favor of that particular motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. So motion passes 7-0. So now we have an amended motion. Councilman Glenn, if this is the time you would like to make another amendment to the motion, this is the time to do it.
I'd move to amend the discussions to target 3 million, 4.5 million, and 9 million in cuts, and identify those three areas, and then we can make our decision from those three choices.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Councilman Glenn, a second by Deputy Mayor Brown, that when we come back to make the presentations, that we look at working with both a $3 million cut, a $4.5 million cut, and a $9 million cut. That would be the amended motion. All right. All of those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any disagreeing? Okay, thank you, 7-0. Thank you, council. The motion, the amendment is added to the motion. So we go back to the original motion with the amendments. Can somebody read that to me, please? 'Cause I don't.
It's a really amended one.
So the motion would be, then, as I understand it, that the council move forward with as many meetings or as necessary to make a decision, and that the cuts would be based on $3 million, $4.5 million, $9 million, as well as what is available in terms of help, other resources to help with that process, which would be volunteerism and other things. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd make a motion to amend.
Thank you.
I would like to amend to also include what a cut would look like to not be in the negative in 27 and 28. I don't know what that number is, so I couldn't tell you, but that would be my motion.
We need a crystal ball for that one.
Well, but
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion to amend our existing motion by Deputy Mayor Brown and seconded by Councilman Glenn, that we also have figures. I'm not understanding exactly.
A cut, what does the cut number look like so that we're not in the fund balance in 27 and 28?
So we're
in the
projecting
negative?
cuts for the next 3 years?
No, I'm looking at whatever that number is. If we have to make a cut for 26 so that we don't look bad again in 27 and 28.
Okay. In other words, what is the full package of cuts to bring us out at least even in 28?
Yeah, by then.
Okay, all right.
It's to run the projections out 3 years.
Yes, okay. So that's the motion? All of those?
We're going to need some help on that.
Yeah, no help on
I
that.
can't.
Greg, that's your job.
I got it.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
I didn't hear you, Mr. Glenn.
I said aye.
Okay, thank you. Any opposed? All right, the motion passes 7-0. So now we have an amended motion.
Can I ask one question? I don't think it needs to be amended into the motion. But I really hope
Please,
it
thank
doesn't. You mentioned being creative. Do you need that in the motion?
No.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Be creative.
Thank you. All right, so now we have a motion that the council will meet, have special meetings to meet by the time we make a decision on a levy, that we will take whatever time it takes to come up with 3 plans, $3 million in cuts, $4.5 million in cuts, $9 million of cuts, and include in that possible, I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah, and a bigger cut.
And what that would look like for 3 years as well, 3 years projection, and include what can we look at to be covered with volunteerism or other resources in the community.
I do have a question.
Get the longest motion.
Is there a timeline? We have to do it by a certain day.
Yes,
Okay.
Yes, between now and August 4th, we would need to,
we need to have a final decision, cut and ride by August the 4th.
I think that's the approved resolution.
Yes, so the resolution will have to be adopted on or before your August 4th meeting. It has to be at the auditor's office, the elections department, by close of their business day on August 5th, which I believe is 4 p.m. or 4:30 p.m.
There's also, I don't know if Sarah, if you want to talk about the no and yes committee requirement,
Okay, before we do that.
But let's vote on the motion first, and
Yeah, let's
I
vote
can
on the
explain
motion.
procedure.
because that changes the timeline.
All of those in favor of the amended motion,
The longest motion ever.
please say aye. Aye. All right, any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Thank you, council. Please go ahead, Sarah.
So there are a couple additional pieces to putting something on the ballot. It includes the explanatory statement, which is a 150-word statement that goes in the voter's pamphlet that is submitted on behalf of the city. It's normally drafted by the city attorney's office, and then it goes over and is generally reviewed at the county level. In addition, the state statute requires the city council to attempt to create what I'll call a pro-con committee. That's not what it's called in the statute, but it's essentially a committee of 3 people to write a statement in favor, and a committee of 3 people to write a statement against the ballot measure. That has to be submitted on or before August 5th.
Who makes up those committees?
So they are made up of people who have to be residents of the city. They generally have to be known to be for or against, so someone really shouldn't be against it and writing on the for side.
Right.
And
That would be funny.
yeah, and there can only be 3 people on the committee. If the council doesn't receive 3 people on each committee, up to 3 people on each committee, it can be a committee of 1. If the council receives no interest, then it goes to the county, and the county does a second attempt to get people to write on behalf of the measure and against the measure. And if no one comes forward, it goes in empty.
Right.
We've seen that in the past
But
in
there can
different
be
measures.
somebody who does a pro and somebody doesn't do it, or, there could be one or the other.
I think there's
Or
either
do you have to be
both or there's none, but I don't know for sure.
You got to have 3 per.
It's maximum of 3 per
Okay.
committee. So you can have 1 or 2 or 3. So, but you cannot have more than 3
And
on
a
the
council member can't be on there.
No.
Yeah, I figured.
So what would normally happen is we could go and,
Just saying.
once there's a clearer picture, I suppose, maybe we'll be able to advertise a quick ability for people who are interested to submit their names. The city council chooses who is on each of those committees, so that would have to be done in an open public meeting on the 4th at the latest. And then those names are submitted. They don't have to have their pro-con statement on the 4th, but the committee has to be, we have to submit a form with ours that says we've either seated committees or we couldn't find anyone, and the county has to seat the committee.
Right. Thank you for that explanation.
Does the county have to have it done by the 5th if we don't get it done?
No, the county then gets some additional time
of
before
course.
the voter's pamphlet is published. I don't know, it's a few weeks, I think, to try again, basically, to get people who
So
are
that's for
interested.
the general election, then?
Yes.
Yeah. Man, if the
I think it would be
newspaper can
wise to
follow
try and
this
get
today.
this-
Sorry.
I think it would be wise to try and get this put to bed by the 22nd and leave a little room. There's no wisdom in waiting until the last minute. Let's get together and push it through.
All right. Thank you, council.
There's another thing that I would like to propose.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah, this is a study session, so if it's not on the agenda, Councilman Glenn, we can't discuss it, but we can put it on a future agenda.
Okay, be that way.
I'm sorry. I don't make the rules.
Unless it has something to do with on our agenda.
It does have something to do with budget.
Well, then you probably could.
All right, then go ahead.
So I'll fire away, and then we can decide if it's relevant or not. I've been hearing arguments. I can remember when we were all excited that fluoridated water was a part of Yakima's future, and it's been that way for decades, and the voters voted it in. So now, in order to stop that, the voters need to vote it out. Now, fluoride is considered a hazardous material. It's very expensive for the city to deal with. They would really rather not deal with it. And general knowledge is that while fluoride is very good for your teeth, it is not very healthy for the body when it's ingested. And when it's in the water supply, it gets ingested all the time. So I would move that we put a resolution on the ballot to stop the fluoridation of Yakima City water
You're not going to be
and
able
put
to.
it to the
Yeah,
voters.
We will not be able to do that because that is not directly involved in the budget discussion and decisions tonight. So you'll have to hold on to that, Councilman Glenn.
But good,
Please put
good
it on a
job.
future agenda so we can do it.
Yeah.
You made that happen.
Thank you. All right, there's no other business tonight because it is a study session. If we have,
I did have one question for Sarah.
okay,
If there's other things we would like to put on the ballot, we can still do that.
Yeah, all of the ballot measures are due on the 4th. If
Okay.
there are other things, I know the city council has talked about other potential charter changes throughout the budget discussions and other discussions. So yes, those can still go on the ballot. Staff has worked on some of those kind of in passing when we've discussed them in the past. So if you want to, if they're budget related, you could direct us now. If they are not budget related and are
Right.
charter amendment related, we can do it through other business on the 15th.
Okay, all right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are still, we can still get anything ready that
It's
you
a lower
want.
cost this year, that's why I'm asking. Yeah.
And the charter amendments have to be at a general municipal election, so if you don't do charter amendments now, you have to wait.
Right. And it costs more money.
yes, it does. All right, unless we want to stay here all night,
No.
I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam Mayor, I move to adjourn to our next council meeting on July 15th, I believe, correct? July 15th at 5:30 PM here at City Hall.
Second.
It's like, I don't have any paper in front of me.
So we have a motion by Deputy Mayor Brown and a second by, was it you, Councilman Herrera? Councilman Herrera, to adjourn to our next regular city council meeting on July 15, 2025, 5:30 PM here at City Hall. All of those in agreement, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you, council.